Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. So-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan are part of the erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, has been illegally held by Pakistan since 1947. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1947, partition of Indian subcontinent on the basis of religion took place, which resulted Pakistan and Republic of India. There were more than 580 princely states, including Jammu and Kashmir, were given the options to joining either India or Pakistan. But the Maharaja wanted to independence and get done his aspiration. He signed the standstill agreement with the Pakistan. Pakistan violated the standstill agreement of August 15, 1947 and stopped supply the essential goods like petrol, oil, food, salt, sugar, etc. to Jammu Kashmir, effectively blockading the state. On 27 October 1947, tribal men backed by Pakistan and its soldiers invaded state of Jammu and Kashmir. The plan of the tribal invaders was to capture Srinagar, the capital of Jammu and Kashmir. However, the tribal men, the primary purpose was plundered. Pakistan made a deal with the tribal men that Pakistan would be the owner of immovable property of Kashmir, for example, land, building, natural resources, etc. And tribal men will get movable property, for example, money, gold, silver, assets, even Kashmir people, especially women and young girls. The tribal invasion backed by Pakistan was clearly a violation of standstill agreement between Pakistan and the Maharaja of Jammu Kashmir, resulted in death of thousands of innocent people, Hindu and Muslims alike, laid and seeds of disrupting the secular harmony of state led to the rebellion of Kashmir that continued till today. Thousands of innocent Kashmiri were killed, including children, women and young girls were kidnapped and later sold out in brothel houses in Peshawar, Rawalpindi and Lahore. The raiders advanced into Baramulla, which was then the biggest commercial center of the region with population then 11,000, until they were only an hour away from Srinagar. Hari Singh was the ruler of the Kashmir Maharaja. Hari Singh was unable to prevent the attack, so the October 24, 1947, he appealed for military assistance from Government of India. The Indian government argued that in order to assistance, the state would have to accede to India. Maharaja had to sign provisional accession to India and get military support. Apart from that, it divided our motherland, resulting in enormous problems of thousands of families on both sides both sides of the divide. Ladies and gentlemen, in January 1948, Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru requested the United Nations to play a role to resolve the issue of Kashmir. The United Nations Security Council passed a resolution on August 13, 1948, calling for the immediate termination of hostilities in Kashmir. Key ingredients or resolutions are: as the presence of troops of Pakistan in territory of the state Jammu and Kashmir constitutes a material change in the situation, since it was represented by the government of Pakistan before the Security Council, the government of Pakistan agrees to withdraw its troops from the state. The government of Pakistan will use its best endeavor to secure the withdrawal from the state of Jammu and Kashmir of tribesmen and Pakistani nationals not normally residents therein who have entered the state for the purpose of fighting. The territory vacated by the Pakistani troops will be administered by the local authorities under the surveillance of the Commission, but till date Pakistan did not comply with UN resolution on Kashmir and did not withdraw its troops and citizens from Kashmir. Honorable guests, in late 1980s, gathered jihadis and started its proxy war in Kashmir, secular progressive Kashmiris. Politicians, lawyers, professors, lecturers and Kashmiri pundits were targeted by these jihadis. Kashmiris lost one whole generation during Pakistan proxy war in Kashmir and displaced thousands of Kashmiris, especially Pandits. Till today, common people are suffering due to militancy and so-called jihad in Kashmir. Honorable guest, Jammu and Kashmir is a disputed territory. States subjected 31st January 1927 do not allow the locals to buy property in Kashmir. But Pakistan is violating the state subject and settles its citizens in Gilgit-Baltistan and so-called Azad Kashmir to change the demography of these areas. Wahhabi curriculum is taught in madrasas and the schools to promote the project extremism, terrorism and militant Islam. These areas are very important strategically, and the Gilgit-Baltistan is called the cockpit of Asia, which may serve as an alternative trade route as its borders are linked with the China, India and Central Asian states. These non-state actors are involved in terrorist activities in the region. Honorable guests, we are opposing Pakistan policy to use the religion as a weapon and terrorism as foreign policy tool, and our region is launching pad and training camps to press the secular, democratic and progressive in Gilgit-Baltistan and so-called Azad Kashmir to change the demography of these areas. Wahhabi curriculum is taught in madrasas and the schools to promote the project extremism, terrorism and militant Islam. These areas are very important strategically, and the Gilgit-Baltistan is called the cockpit of Asia, which may serve as an alternative trade route as its borders are linked with the China, India and Central Asian states. These non-state actors are involved in terrorist activities in the region. Honorable guests, we are opposing Pakistan policy to use the religion as a weapon and terrorism as foreign policy tool, and our region is launching pad and training camps to press the secular, democratic and progressive voices of the entire region. Pakistan government declares so-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan as security zone where they can arrest anybody without any charges for unlimited time. The government is using the Anti-Terrorism Act against secular, progressive, nationalist political workers, civil society activists and human rights defenders who are struggling for their basic and fundamental human rights. Recently, Anti-Terrorism Court in Gilgit-Baltistan awarded 40 years in prison to human rights defenders and peaceful political activists named Babajan, Iftihar Hussain and their colleagues. In so-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, nationalist leaders and political workers are facing sedition charges. Section 124A is related to sedition, which states that whoever bring into hatred, contempt, the federal and provincial government shall be punished with up to imprisonment for the life to which fine may be added. Honorable guests, the anti-terrorism has become a strong tool in the hands of successive governments to suppress the political opponents. The Act has failed to curb terrorism from the country, and Anti-Terrorism Act has continuously failed to punish the terrorist. Moreover, the acts have made quickly decision to release the terrorist for want of evidence. The acts have provoked weak in the face of terrorism. They have freed terrorists despite there being ample evidence, and however, they have been brave in punishing innocent political workers with no evidence. The act is being used for political victimization, and so far no terrorist has been punished yet under this law. Pakistan Protection Ordinance passed by the government of Pakistan. We express our grief and raise our protest in this human rights situation. Pakistan Protection Act allows detention for up to 90 days before a writ habeas corpus becomes applicable. It grants state agents the power to shoot suspect on sight. So-called Azad Kashmir. Azad means free. but the residents of Azad Kashmir are far from the freedom. The Pakistani authorities government Azad Kashmir with strict control on basic freedoms. Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan are governed by Pakistani through their agents, land officers and officials in Pakistan and Azad Jammu and Kashmir. All key administrative offices are managed by Pakistani officials. These include the office of the Chief Secretary of the Principal Bureaucrat, in the Inspector General of Police, the Accountant General, and the Finance Secretary, Pakistani political control in Azad Kashmir. The internal constitution of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Act 1974, bans political parties that do not endorse the territory, eventually accession to the Pakistan, and government employees must declare loyalty to their cause of accession. Similar rules prevail in Gilgit-Baltistan, meaning nationalist leaders and parties are denied access to political process and public employment. Those who are opposed Pakistani rule are subject to surveillance, harassment, and sometimes imprisonment. The current political status of the state sharing the power of its undefined relationship with the Pakistan is basic hurdle in the way of socio-economic and political development, political dependence, social distortion, and the underdevelopment are the indissoluble consequences of valued political status and indistinct sovereignty. Even though it has been defined territory, official flag, the government, the legislative assembly, the separate system of courts, and of course a constitution, but its government are made or broken at the behest of the ruler in Islamabad. Election in Azad Kashmir take place under the control of Pakistani institutions and disciplines by the Pak Army to give only preferred results. The modification and manipulation on the 12 seats in Azad Jammu and Kashmir Assembly reserved for the Kashmiri refugee filled by the residents of Jammu and Kashmir living in Pakistan is also obvious and well documented. Thank you very much.